It'll go. It'll go. There we go. Welcome to Small Town Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Ben. Randy is here.
And about it again.
Yes. And we have producer M is also here. Hello, producer. We are coming to you live from the Drama City Production Studios, downtown Evanston, Wyoming. This episode is brought to you by...
Ben was frequently common to run his mouth. Wasn't a bad guy. Just had a mouth that ran like a stream. Character flaw, and we all have them.
This episode is brought to you by Witch's Vape Shop, who hooked us up quite a bit today with new tanks and cool stuff. So thanks again, Ollie. Today we have Eric AITTALA from the band AITTALA.
It's actually AITTALA, but
AITTALA?
that's fine.
AITTALA.
AITTALA.
I was reading your bio and saying how to pronounce it, so I knew I was going to get it wrong though.
Well, I mean, in the bio, I put a 3-syllable pronunciation because it's easier based on when you see it, but it's really 2 syllables. But I don't care as long as people know what it is when they see it. Who cares what you call it?
Yeah, I've been checking your guys' stuff out all day, you know, trying to do my due diligence. But at the same time, this show's kind of, you know, we just wing it most of the time. So we'll talk to you a bit, try to get to know you, some of the fun stuff you've done on the road, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I was reading on your bio that was struck me as very interesting. You spent a lot of time in, what was that, Holland?
Well, I don't know if I spent a lot of time there, but I was there for a couple of years when I was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
It doesn't say it in the bio, but I was in the military a long time ago.
Oh, nice. What was that like? Let's get it started at the very beginning.
Well, which part? The military or Holland?
Both. What'd you do in your time in the military? You just travel around with them?
Was your MOS?
Yeah.
Well, I was in the Air Force, so we had AFSC. Same thing. I mean, of all things, I worked in the post office, which is a long story. I was a postal clerk for
cool.
five years.
Yeah, I just finished Band of Brothers last night, the TV show, and they had a postal, you know, an MP postal guy in there.
I was that guy without being an MP.
Oh, okay.
But I was in. So you asked me like how was it like to be in Holland? The funny thing is, I was in Japan for almost 3 years prior to going to Holland, and in Japan, you know, it was the military base is like a little slice of America within. You know, being in Japan, you go off base, it's Japan. You come on base, it's like little America. So, but you know, when you go off base, it's like being in a different country. I mean, a different planet. You know, you notice the difference. But you know, when I went to Holland, I got there and it was basically like everybody. You know, I'm European, obviously, of European descent. So everybody looked like me, and all the Dutch people speak English. That's one of the languages they learn. And, you know, the only thing, it was like being illiterate because I could tell they were, you know, they use Roman characters. Their alphabet is basically the same, but things are in a different order. So you read the signs, you go like, I don't understand it, but I can recognize it. Unlike Japan, where they have 3 alphabets, hiragana, katakana, and kanji. So, you know, everything just looks Chinese because mostly it is. Yeah. Well, besides the other 2 Japanese alphabets, they use the Chinese kanji alphabet.
Yeah, I was reading that's where you started this whole thing.
In Holland, yeah.
In Holland. With another American, it says, too?
Well, so the first iteration of the band, I was there. I met an American guy. His wife was in the military, so he ended up being the singer, and then I had a couple Dutch guys. And so, that was, we played out a little bit. I mean, a fair amount, recorded a demo, you know, probably lasted 1.5 years. And then I left the military. So I had to come back to the States. So that iteration of the band broke up.
Okay. Oh, yep. I think you pushed the wrong button. That's all right. He'll be back. We'll get to know more about Holland. And
I didn't know what was going on as I sat there.
Oh, there he is.
Seemed like somebody might have fucked up.
No, I don't know what happened. I'm just sitting here talking, and then it cut off.
Yeah, we tried to keep it going while you were gone. I was like, he'll be back. It's fine.
Yeah. You just
It was some screen. It was trying to get me to buy it. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah.
there's some weird time limit on it or something, but
it shouldn't.
I
Yeah.
swear I didn't do anything.
Yeah, we pay for the program every month, so
Okay.
it shouldn't bother you any because you're coming in off of one of our links. So
Right. It was weird. Anyway, I'm back.
yeah. So yeah, it was saying that you did a Dutch tour for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's this band from, it was like a couple weeks.
Okay.
I mean, it was just little places, and it was pretty fun with these AITTALA. There's a band, and I think they're still active today. They're called Sadist, and they were out of Italy.
Okay.
And interesting note about them, they had a guy who played keyboards and guitar, so he did a lot of little like left hand, like keeping the rhythm with the left hand, and he used his right hand to play keyboards at the same time. So it was pretty good. I don't know if they still have that, same lineup kind of deal, but yeah, I'm gonna get off on tangents because my edible's kicking in. So
that's all right. That's right. That's what you're here for. We want to get to know you. And when I get to know you and all your fun stories. Yeah, that was just when I was reading that earlier, I was like, oh, that's cool. Because I've never left the States. All I know about other countries is what I see online or whatever. It's interesting to me to meet people that have lived and moved around and stuff like that. Different places.
So the beauty is I grew up in an Army family, but my dad was discharged by the time I was born. And my granddad was career Army. So I got to grow up hearing about like Okinawa, Japan, and all these other places, and how it's overrated. You don't want to go. So that's why I grew up here.
It is not overrated. I love Japan. I wasn't in Okinawa though. I'm looking for something at the same time. I don't know what happened to my eye drop.
I grew up around some weapons grade cynics though. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a buddy of mine's dad was in Vietnam, so he was telling me some more stories a couple weeks ago. I like listening. I mean, if people got stories, man, I'm here to listen to them because I just enjoy that sort of thing. People going different places and seeing things and all that stuff. So
I didn't see anything too exciting though.
I don't think anyone actually said Okinawa specifically was overrated. Just using that out as an example. I can't remember all the places they talked about they had been stationed.
I mean, I never went to. I was in Yokota, which is kind of about 30 miles from Tokyo. So I was kind of mainland Japan. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Wyoming now. That's about as far as I've ever been from home. I'll tell you that. And this place is like another country sometimes, man.
I've never been to Wyoming, so we're even.
I can't believe you Yankee fuckers call a damn hand truck. What was it? A dolly?
A dolly.
It's a hand truck.
It's a dolly.
It's a hand truck.
Yeah, a lot of people have never been to Wyoming. That's a running theme around here.
What was that?
I said a lot of people have never been to Wyoming. That's a running theme.
Oh, I mean, hardly anybody is in Wyoming.
That's true too. Not a lot of people exists. I've found out over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think we're part of Montana, I guess, something like that.
Oh, Montana Annex.
Yeah. Next door.
I don't know. I keep making the joke that if I see any more Utah plates, I'm going to think we were annexed by Utah.
Yeah.
Antex.
Yeah.
Sounds like a heartburn medication. Take your Antex.
Yeah. So how long you been with Curtain Call? We've known Angela for about 2 years now. We like to play indie music, rock music, whatever they got on their label. We've been playing songs the last 2 years at the end of the show. So she, we started with just people sending them in, and then we got hooked up with Curtain Call and a couple of the record labels, and they just send us what they got, and we started playing it at the end of the show just because, why not? Why not promote people, So Cal, right? I think he just started over there. He was the one that told me about you guys bringing on. So.
Oh wait, that's a man. Are you sure? I thought it was Cell.
I don't know. It might be.
It's a woman from Mexico.
Well, I haven't checked out the profile. I have a message. That's it.
Oh, okay. I was just like Cal. I believe. No, it's maybe? Like her name is like Celentino or something.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, you're looking it up now?
Yeah, I've never actually talked to her that much. Angela was our go-to for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just recently started talking to me. That's why I was confused.
I got you. Because when you messaged me and said, "Oh, he sent me that," I was like, "He," and you were referring to Shell.
Yeah. See, I didn't know. I've talked to her twice now, I think, from last week and this week. But yeah, she's been. So what we were doing was just playing music, and then we decided, like, let's just start having some of these bands on. You know, be interesting, get to know them, and see what happens. But they started.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so now we get to know the people before we play their song on the show.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully people might tune out and go like, that guy is interesting as a shoe, and not even stay till the end.
You know, it's hit and miss. Who knows?
Yeah, we should have a shoe on for next week's guest.
Yeah. It's not like we do it for the money, you know?
No, I think you're okay. We're known for our awkward silences and missed jokes. I mean, what are we 15 minutes into this thing, and I've already put my foot in my mouth with the Okinawa shit.
Yeah. It's all right. It'll be all right. Okay. So you got the band back together in the early 2000s, right? I was reading.
Well, so what I did, the history is, so after I got out of the military, I went to a place that really didn't have a music scene, almost probably as bad as Wyoming, which is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because I went to high school in Wisconsin. So I just kind of kept writing, new songs. Then I moved to the Raleigh area, like in 2000. And my intent really was to join other bands, to be in collaborative bands where, people were sung Kumbaya and did great things. And I was in a bunch of bands, and they just end up, I joined the band, learn the material. We'd play out some shows. Hey, let's write new material. Oh, band breaks up because somebody's a dick. And so I kind of got tired of that wash, rinse, repeat cycle. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to, and I kept doing my stuff kind of on the side, sort of as a, an outlet just songs that I wrote. So then I decided at some point, I said, I'm just going to focus on my band. I'm not going to be in anybody else's band. I'm tired of working with musicians, trying to be, be in somebody else's band. I was going to be the helm. And so that's why the band's a three-piece, because more musicians than that, well, most musicians are just dicks, especially other guitar players. So I always wanted a 2-guitar band and even a keyboard player. I didn't even want to sing. I want a singer because I don't think I'm that good of a singer. But, because you can't find other guitar players that aren't dicks, and you can't find lead singers that aren't assholes and have LSD. You just go like, I'm just going to do it myself. So that's why the band's a three-piece, because that's to me, the minimum amount of viable, a minimum amount of people in a band that's a viable band. Those 2-people bands are, to me, sort of ridiculous. Oh, we got drums and guitar. Well, you still need bass personally, but if they're good at it, they do their thing. But I keep the minimal viable product of a 3-piece.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, you were saying you were saying or on your bio was saying that you joined quite a few different ones when you first came back to the States. I was reading all kinds of different names on there.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you guys were going to start, what was it, like the 243? Was it a festival?
No, it's 423 Fest. That's coming up. That's going to be July 19th. We're playing. That's probably one of the only shows that's going to happen. That's actually in Tennessee. We got a couple shows. Tennessee is a little less strict on their social distancing and, our coronavirus scare tactic. So they're still having this fest, which actually seems going to be a big deal because not much else is going on this year. It seems like, I mean, it's not going to be like some international thing people are going to fly in for, but sort of regionally, they had to cancel a bunch of other festivals. So, they're really pumping this one up and, to get people to go. So we're excited for that. We're actually playing. I don't know if it's something to brag about or not, but I don't know if you guys know the band Green Jello. Green Jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've heard of Green Jelly?
Yeah.
Nice.
Their hit song is that Three Little Pigs
Three
song
Little
from
Pigs,
the
yeah.
90s.
Huh.
Anyway, they're headlining for whatever reason on Sunday, and we're actually playing right before them. So
nice.
So we got a pretty good slot, unless people are just tired of seeing bands for 3 days and decide they're just going to leave early.
I think they also did the music for a Spider-Man game that I used to play on Sega all the time.
Huh.
Green Jelly did?
Yeah. I think it was Green Jelly.
It's the way to go, man. Get a soundtrack going.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get those what's it called?
Royalties, yeah.
Yeah, royalties for the rest of your life.
I didn't think Sega used did it have a CD? Because I wouldn't imagine if it was a cartridge it used anybody's music.
Yeah, I think it was the Sega Genesis. I think this was before the Saturn.
It had it, but they wouldn't put digital music unless it was just 8-bit, unless they did 8-bit music for it.
That'd be kind of cool if a band came out with like 8-bit backtracks, just sang over 8-bit.
I've seen where people have done 8-bit covers.
Yeah, that would be kind of a cool genre, I guess.
You can take an MP3 and cut it and render it in 8-bit.
Huh.
I don't know if it'll sound exactly like 8-bit, like you think of a computer, but I know.
Yeah, old video game stuff. I mean, it'd probably be a lot easier to do than like techno / dubstep type music, but probably be a little easier. So have you done much touring before, coronavirus and stuff like that?
I mean, we went to Europe a couple times.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun. But that's about it. But trying to get back, it's harder than it seems. When you're a low-level band, it's hard to get like on tours. But now, with Curtain Call, well, they were helping us do some stuff. And then we have another guy work with, a manager. And he was working on some stuff for us, and it was coronavirus season, so everything got put on the back burner. Like we're getting a few shows hooked up.
We've had a few bands on recently. Like, hey, if you're ever in Salt Lake, we'll come see you. But who knows when that's going to be?
Definitely sucks.
We'll say the same to you. If you're ever in Salt Lake, hit us up. We'll come see your show.
Absolutely.
How far is Salt Lake City from you guys?
About 90 miles.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the only place to go.
I guess
that's where we go for all the bands and the comedy and all the stuff.
You guys don't got any good local bands?
No. Most of them come down from Salt Lake. So sometimes the bars will do band shows, live shows, but they come down from wherever they're at.
Yeah.
But
you mean there's not one local metal band? What town are you guys in?
It's whoever's playing upstairs.
Yeah, I guess we got a band that practices upstairs. Usually every time we record, to be honest with you.
We've kind of got this weird late Metallica mixed with early Tool sound from what I can hear through the walls.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it is. How big is your city?
13,000.
So you're telling me in 13,000 people, you don't know the guys in the band upstairs?
Actually, I do know one of them. They've been on the show. I believe Tony hangs out upstairs, and he used to be the producer back in the day. Been on the show a few times. And then we had some guy just came down, remember, and plugged the show real quick and then ran off. Just jumped on the show for a second.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, check out my band, and just left the room. Like, all right, thanks for coming on the show.
But I would think if you had some kind of, local shows, any local band that was decent, you would know about them, so maybe they're not decent.
Yeah, well,
I think it comes down to a lack of venues too. There's not a whole lot of places where they can play up here.
In high school, we had a few places. People would go to the Elks Lodge, and then they had this like airplane hangar. They called like Circle something, Half Circle, or I don't remember what it was. But yeah, they used to put on rock shows in high school. But it's been years since I've heard of anything like that happening. So maybe people just stopped putting them on, or I don't know, gave up.
Right.
But yeah, when I was in high school, we used to have concerts all the time, and bands come out and do stuff. Back then, I knew a lot of the bands, but they've all
I'm
moved
just
on,
saying.
got married, changed careers.
But with such a small town, I would think you would just know all the musicians, but or they'd want to be on your show, and then you get, you know, like, oh, these are all the bands, and you know, the one.
Oh, he hit the button.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Mark, he's been on the show. He does Bone Band. But that's
Well, we tried to have Dustin on the show, but Dustin is a punk athlete, and
he's back.
I don't know if Dustin's welcome on the show anymore. How about that? You hear me, Dustin?
Yeah, we were saying we've had a few people I know. We've had a Mark on. He was from Bone Band. We've had a few people talk to us about it. I don't know. We've had a lot of random people. We're not only rock. You know, we don't do just bands. We do a lot of comedians, friends, things. So we try to switch it up every week.
We had Kelsey Hudgens and Travis.
Yeah.
Who's the funniest person that's been on that show?
Can I vote for myself?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, I think it's the hosts. No, Adam's pretty funny.
Austin,
Adam Nutter, Austin. Yeah, Austin's hilarious.
Austin. I was talking about Austin earlier today, man. Austin's funnier than he knows.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And he really, if you're listening, Austin, you got to get out your own way.
He doesn't listen.
He doesn't listen at all. He never listens to anyone for any reason.
He didn't even listen to the show when he was on it.
Me? Well, I don't either, but
I
sound of my own voice. I'm like, is
that
what I sound like?
His last name is. Oh,
sorry.
Did
what?
you say his last name is Nutter?
Yeah, Adam Nutter. Yeah, he's a comedian. Where is he? Pennsylvania, I believe, somewhere in there. We were trying to get him to come on tour too. Like, come to Evanston and do a show. He's like, what am I gonna do there? I was like, comedy, man. Come on.
But he was on your show.
Yeah, he called in, the same as you.
Oh, he called in. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't had a local guest in a while. We figured, during the whole thing, everybody's sitting at home, not doing much. Might as well try to get people from around the world on. That's what everybody else is doing. Then you get to know, if you stay in we live in, like I said, a town of 13,000. So if we stuck with local guests, I mean, we'd run out pretty quick. And we wanted to get to know a variety more of people. So.
True.
Yeah. I've already ran out of friends. They've all been on the show. My brother's been on. I'm trying to get my mom to come on one of these days. I'll get her to come on.
I was going to suggest we have our moms on for a Mother's Day episode.
That could work. That'd be fun.
But Mother's Day is come and gone.
Yeah, next one.
We cannot have my dad on for Father's Day. We cannot have my dad on this show. We will get canceled.
No.
We will get fucking canceled.
What are you going to cancel yourself?
Yeah, he might.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're canceling a lot of people for a lot of shit nowadays. Yeah. And we don't really conform to certain cultures.
Well, my dad was...
We like to say what we want.
Well, my dad was a machine gunner in the 82nd Airborne, so he's got that very fucked up, dark airborne sense of humor, that gallows humor. This is... So, we might get in trouble. We have him on.
Dark humor's like food, man. Not everybody gets it.
I'm laughing on the inside.
Anyways, so tell us more about some of the stuff you've done. What is we like to ask some of the bands? Well, it's kind of a newer question, but we like to ask what's the worst place you've ever played at? Because I think that's an interesting, fun question.
The worst.
Yeah, what's the worst experience you've had on stage or bar or after the show or anything like that?
Well, I would say a funny. Well, I'll tell you. So one funny story is we're playing at a small place, and I mean it was kind of long and narrow, and so anyway, so we're getting through the first song, maybe halfway through, in the bathroom, like somebody took a major shit, and it permeated. So the live room was probably like a big living room, but it had a pretty good stage on it. And then the bathroom was right off of that. So like a little hallway in the bathroom. So somebody dropped just some nasty shit and the smell like permeated. And so like, as soon as it hit me and the pan, we're looking and people are like, you could see it. They're like, and then ironically, so we finished the song and I go, I said, I don't know who was just in the bathroom, but God damn, people were laughing. And ironically, the second song we played was a song that was very fitting because the song is called Human Waste. So that kind of ironically segued right in. But the song isn't about, actual defecation. The song is about people, like you're wasting your life. So it's human waste. But
he keeps pushing the wrong button every time he picks up. I don't know if it's him or what. If it's a connection or what. I don't know. I think every time he picks up, he's
doing something.
Yeah. What's going on?
It keeps going to this other screen, and I have to go back and get back and join. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know if I'm touching something inadvertently. I don't believe I got touching it by the edges.
That's all right.
Anyway, so the song
ahead.
again, the song was a great segue into the, the smell that was permeating everybody's olfactory at the time. So yeah, that's that. So that was kind of a funny worst.
I'm like imagining how the person that took the shit felt, like standing in the back of the room or whatever. And that's the moment he realized the entire room could smell what he just did.
Well, so the place also had a bar in the front. So he could have been a bar patron that, dropped the kids off at the pool and then ran back into the bar. But I know he had to hear me when I was referencing it because it was like the septic tank backed up in the building. It smelled so bad.
We got to imagine most of the time at a show when somebody's having a good time, they'll like hold up their lighter. In this case, they were just striking matches.
Yeah, that could work. What's the coolest place you ever been to? Coolest place you played?
Coolest. Oh, I know the coolest place. So in Germany, I can't remember the name of it. There was a old, so it was like an old Nazi fortress. I mean, it was almost like it was sort of castle-like, but it was like a big square. Like the building was square, and it was had a big courtyard in the middle, and then there's these two slivers. Like the bus could barely. So we were on this bus that it barely fit through, so cars could come in, parking lot, big square. And so half of it, they had renovated it. There's a church and all these businesses, and they didn't renovate the other half yet. But 3 stories down, they had this old, I don't want to call it a dungeon, but it was basically a dungeon, a real dungeon. They used to have prisoners and stuff down there, but then they converted it into a live room. And it was like this big, almost like a cave. When I say dungeon, it wasn't, a lot of it was like still in the natural stone, and they kind of carved like stairs and stuff, if I'm remembering right, and I could be remembering wrong, but I know it was down 3 flights of steep stairs. We had to bring all the equipment, but that was probably the most awesome place because it's just the history of the building. And they said they would torture people down where they had the live room or this bar. So it was quite excellent.
How are the acoustics?
I don't know. Ask me 7 years ago after I played it. I fucking can't remember. Probably as good as I described the place.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad.
Are you waiting for a segue?
I had a segue with the shit smell in the bathroom, but I realized it was out of my reach, so I'm just gonna grab it. I'm just gonna put it here.
Well, you're like 5 minute late guy. You're like, hey, you're laughing at a joke somebody told 10 minutes ago. Hey, I got a segue for the last segment we passed 10 minutes ago.
There, now we can see it.
Yeah, we do live reads for our sponsors, and he was trying to do a flawless segue after the bathroom bit, and he couldn't reach.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense now. Do you want to do your live read?
Another opportunity will present itself. It's fine.
We'll wait till it fits in more. What is it? What am I trying to think of?
Appropriate.
I guess so.
Seamless.
What are you hawking? What is your live read for?
Ball wash.
Ball wash, yeah. Ballsy. It's clean your balls.
Like actual like balls, like golf balls or testicle balls?
Testicles. So they have ball wash, nuts, butts, and body wash, sack spray that neutralizes odor, and nut rub, which is a cologne. They also have good head shampoo and conditioner. And if you were to go to ballwash.com and use promo code STMPOD at checkout, you could save yourself 15%.
Does that conclude the live read segment of the podcast?
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you wanted to talk about Spunk Lube, which is also for your junk. Spunklube.com, promo code STMPOD. Save yourself 10%.
So you can put the spunk on your junk, and the ballsy is for keeping the funk off of your junk.
True that.
And that's the library.
That's the library. Yeah, that's good enough.
Okay.
Doing it in my
best
radio voice.
I gave you a segue into your ball wash.
Yes, thank you. Speaking of segues, I'm not very good at them.
I'm not good at standing on them either.
What's the biggest show you ever played?
In this band or a different band?
Either one. We wanted to get to know you, your life. What are you doing?
The biggest show I've ever played, I actually was in a Motley Crue tribute band a long time ago.
Nice.
I was Pretend Mick Mars, obviously, because I play guitar. And we played at a biker rally that was in Raleigh, a rally in Raleigh, because every year they have the, one of those cookie cutter biker fests that they have in every city now. And so obviously Motley Crue kind of goes along with bikers somewhat. Anyway, it was there's a lot of people there. It's like a nice day. It's about 4 in the afternoon. People were pretty drunk. And then before Girls, we asked somebody to, I don't know. Do you know the song at the beginning of Girls, Girls, Girls? I should ask before I assume you do.
I haven't heard that track in forever. So
yeah, I've listened to this song.
Well, it's a motorcycle. It's a motorcycle starting.
Oh, okay.
And so we had somebody. So in the band, we used the sampler, on stage. So you hit the motorcycle revving up, but then we had somebody do it for real. So I know that's I don't know how compelling the story was, but it was cool. It was like you guys remember the Chris Farley show from Saturday Night Live? But you guys
I remember Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live. I don't remember his show.
Anyway, well, he had a segment, right? It was one of his comedy segments, and it was called the Chris Farley Show, and he'd have famous people on like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his whole shtick was, you remember that time in that movie when you said I'll be back, and Arnold goes, yeah, I remember, and he goes, that was funny, that was awesome. So you have to see, and then they go like he'd get all awkward, and he'd go, You remember that time in Terminator 2 when he said all of this stuff, baby, or whatever? And you go, yeah, I remember. You go like that was awesome. So a long-winded story to get to my joke was I was going to say I was being the Chris Farley show and saying, you remember that time when that guy started that motorcycle before Girls, Girls, Girls? That was awesome.
Well, it actually did sound kind of awesome to have a live, motorcycle go off for your song.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned again that it was Raleigh, I thought you said that before, but yeah, Raleigh. No wonder you kept ending up in bands with a bunch of dickheads. There's a lot of dickheads in Raleigh, man.
How do you know that?
I grew up near Laurinburg.
Laurinburg.
So, yeah.
Where's that?
It's right on the North Carolina, South Carolina border. I grew up in a town called McCall.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, you said you lived in Laurinburg.
No, I said near Laurinburg.
Oh, near Laurinburg. So Laurinburg is so insignificant. You have to use an insignificant town to even
No, the
prove
town
that
I'm from is so insignificant that we hung out in Laurinburg a lot because, see, my story was so boring he had to disconnect. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he's from North Carolina.
No, the town. Are we gonna bring him in or?
Yeah. There we go.
No, the town I grew up in was just so small that if you wanted to do anything fun or go anywhere or do anything, you'd go to Laurinburg or you'd go to Bennettsville or you'd go to Florence or you'd go to Rockingham or even Fayetteville occasionally.
Fayetteville's probably a big city. Go to the Coliseum.
Did you go to the Coliseum?
Nope.
Oh.
Most of the concerts I went to were in Charlotte, so either Charlotte or Myrtle Beach.
Shout out to Kelsey Hudgens, Myrtle Beach.
Kelsey's from
your nemesis.
Kelsey's from Bennettsville, man. We don't talk about Bennettsville. We don't talk about Kelsey or Aziz Ansari.
So what are you guys working on now? Sometimes I like to get behind the scenes a little bit on like social media. That's what I'm interested in, how people are doing their things and what they're doing, especially now when you have to adapt and do different things to keep your audience engaged. What are you guys doing to like Facebook page wise? You guys doing like live shows or videos or what?
No,
nothing.
The live feed thing gets a little douchey because who wants to watch it unless you have a setup where you can do multi-camera and a good looking stage. It just looks douchey if you're in your living room doing a one camera shoot for a band.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen a few of them. Yeah, I follow a lot of bands, and I've seen a lot of them do, live concert type things in their living rooms or whatever. Or they'll do, what was it? I think Real Big Fish did where they just each recorded a part, and then they put it all together. They did a few.
Oh yeah, those douchey videos now that are coming out with all the bands pretending to do stuff.
Yeah, staying busy, I guess.
No, I mean lately. So right when we were recording the last album, we had finished up and actually played all the bass on the album. We were in between multitude of bass players. Like the douchiest guy in the band has to be a bass player unless you have a real lead singer. All bass players have some kind of weird quirk. I don't know. It's just a thing of, I don't know if it's a bass player becomes quirky or quirky people become bass players. So anyway,
shout out to my homie Tanner. Bass player.
And so we finally I'm trying to work up to what we're doing now. So we finished the album, we're recording it. I actually hired a guy to play bass in a video that I knew, one of the best bass players in the area. And so I invited him. I said, hey, if you're not, I'll pay you to be in the video. He was in the video for Black Coffin, and then he called up like a month later and he's like, hey, I want to join the band. So, we got the album out and stuff, of course he didn't play on it, but so then he's been really motivating me to write new stuff. So, and then they're contributing, the other guys, have a hand in the process. So getting ready to, start learning. Pretty much all the new songs are written for a new album. So we're going to start practicing them to playing live and then go back in the studio, do some recording.
Nice. So you've been staying
by the end of the year.
You've been staying busy, huh? Writing new songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you guys had a group for your Facebook page. So that's some engagement right there.
Yeah, I mean, I try to post stuff. I could tell you the Facebook group thing was cooler initially. I don't know. It seemed weird. The more people I got in it, like if I compared proportionally when I first had the group, maybe with a few hundred people versus like the Facebook page, definitely like almost 10 times more engagement from people on the group, in the group, for the amount of people, like proportionally. But then as I kept growing the group, I don't know, people don't like, it's just about the same as the page now proportionally. So yeah. I don't know if, if they're fucking with the algorithms or because, you hear all these things where Facebook controls posts, and based on this and that and 3 other things, you'll see this person's post, or, band ad or whatever people's page posts. And
so the thing about Facebook is if you don't pay them, they will not show your content, even to the people that follow your page. So only like 25% of the people that follow your page actually see what you post, unless you were to pay Facebook to advertise to your own fans, which is bullshit. So that's a lot of people have gone to Instagram and Twitter because they don't, they let everybody see it who follows you. Facebook will hide your stuff.
I like Instagram better anyway.
Yeah, Instagram's all right. We do not as much as we should on there, but
I should have a lot more followers on your Instagram than the Facebook, which is inverse for us. I had actually a pretty good Instagram going, and then it got hacked by my own stupid mistake, and I lost it. And I was like, fuck. So I had to start over. And it's never been, as big as it was before, I had to start over. So
I never really messed with Facebook much. We've recently started doing lives on there, so we'll do live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. But I never really did anything. All the followers we got on there are mostly just people like Angela. She's like invited all her friends who like the page, stuff like that. So that's the reason we're up that high. But I worked on Instagram for a while, and Twitter. Twitter I worked on quite a bit.
You worked on you mean building your
building. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. I hate Twitter. Twitter to me is just annoying. I do it. I have a banned one, and I saw your tweet, and I like and whatever share, but it's this platform. I just don't get it. Like,
Randy doesn't like it either. But
it's just everyone on Twitter is pissed off about something.
Well, you're pissed off about Twitter.
Well, I'm pissed off about most things, but I don't put it out there unless I'm on the podcast.
You should start making Twitter posts about how fucked up Twitter is and tag Twitter in it.
I don't know. Just seems a little disingenuous to go on Twitter to bitch about Twitter. It's like I could just stay home and not go through that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening on your end.
The thing just keeps popping up to this other page, and I'm not even touching it. I'm not touching it in any funny way that it's getting offended.
Well, so the first time I've heard that.
I'm holding it politely from the sides.
So, what are you got anything coming up, or some things you want to get out to people listening?
I mean, right now, the only shows we have booked, Oak Ridge, Tennessee on July 18th, which is a Saturday. And in July 19th is that 423 Fest in Bristol, Tennessee.
Looking forward to that one, huh? That big one?
Yeah, it should be pretty good. It's look like it's going to be pretty big, like I said, regionally.
I was listening. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think, people haven't been out for a while, and, they just want to get out and bust the nut again. Listen to some music.
I was listening to you on another podcast. I can't remember what the name of it was, but you were talking about the Black album, I believe. You had made a music video. It was like the first single came out with. I can't remember. I just listened to it on the way over here. I don't know why I brought it up if I couldn't, jog your memory on it.
The Black album.
I think that's what you were talking about. I know where you just made a music video for it.
Like the Metallica Black album?
No. Black something?
We just made a video for... Oh, I think you're talking about the song Black Coffin.
That's the one. Yes, the Black Coffin. Yeah.
You said album. I'm thinking of a whole album.
Yeah, that was my bad. That was mixed up in my head. You guys, it's not your fault.
I mean, the Black Coffin was the first video from our newest album.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wish I could give that podcast a shout out. Yeah, I was listening, trying to get some background and some of the stuff to talk about, but I also like to just wing it and then ask random questions, make things awkward, and that's like my MO. And
for the guests to figure out what you read. Oh, Black Coffin. Yeah, Black Album.
I was completely lost.
Yeah, I was listening to a few of your things and stuff before the show. I always hit up Randy when we get a guest, and I shared your Facebook page to him and stuff, and he goes, "I like it," and I was like, "Good enough for me. Let's have him on." So Randy's a fan.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm also
Thanks,
a fan.
Randy.
I was listening today to quite a bit of them. It's at my mother-in-law's house. We had a fun weekend of 4-wheeler accidents. I'm not going to get into all that. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting sick of having bands on that I actually like.
Yeah.
If we can get somebody on that I don't give a shit about, because I'm like holding back because I don't want to say something to piss them off or anything like that. So
he's like, I'm actually planning on seeing you guys sometime in the future. I don't want to make you mad.
Like, I don't want to show up at the show. There's that fat fucker. Get him. You know. But if we can get someone on that I don't give a shit about, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, next week it'll just be me then.
I'm just gonna write that one down. I've been making throughout the podcast, just making a list of places that I cannot go after this show now, because everything from Okinawa to Laurinburg.
Okay.
I'm just gonna write down this podcast.
Yep, there you go.
And we did not need complete silence while I wrote that down, but I do appreciate it. It does help me concentrate.
Yeah. You're welcome. So we got your worst place. Also, was that your funniest story? You think?
Well, what's the weirdest thing you've seen on the road?
Yeah, we like to know what people do and what they see.
Like, no way to put him on the spot. Or
also, he's got some edibles in him, so we're putting him on the spot.
I was just trying to think of. I mean, I would say I don't know if there's anything in particularly weird. I remember the tour. In fact, it was at the same stop as that castle. So the bus stayed in the courtyard all night, and the drummer, right before we left, the drummer of my band, Gary, he had some problem with his hair. Well, that was probably the weirdest thing. I'll tell that story.
Okay.
So a week and a half before we left, we shot a video. So this is back in 2014 for Something Wicked This Way Comes. And he dyed his hair black because he wanted to look good for the video. And then, come to find out, he was allergic to something in the black hair dye. And so it wasn't that bad when we left. He went to the doctor. So we left. We had to leave flat on a Wednesday morning. So like that Tuesday, he went to the doctor, and the doctor gave him some medication, and they gave him like these painkillers. Oh no, this medication. Maybe it was the painkillers too, but no, it was 2 medications. Oh, it was the painkillers because he drank when he took them, and then people thought he was dead. And then he goes, I'm not taking these painkillers. I'm not taking his medication anymore. Maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. But the thing is, the doctor did give him another medication. He kept taking it. Well, as we were in the airport, the doctor's office called, and he just let the go to voicemail. But that was the doctor's office calling to tell him not to take the medication that he was prescribed, because it wasn't going to help his problem. It probably was going to make it aggravate it worse.
Oof.
And so he kept taking that medication the whole time. But it got progressively worse. So he got the name. Do you know what Toxic Avenger is?
Yeah.
So his head was starting toward a week into the tour, his head is starting to look like this big pussy thing. And he couldn't even sleep in his bed. His head hurt so bad. He had to sleep sitting up, and then he was leaning. We were sitting. There's a window next to one of the benches, and so all night. Of course, people are up all night on the bus, so he never slept because he had to sleep sitting up with his head against the window. And then there would be this mark, like if you had a bunch of zits and you popped them and you pressed your face against the glass. There was this impression of his whatever was oozing out of his head. And it was, so what made it worse, ironically, is he kept feeding the problem because the dye was in his hair. He should have kept his hair off his skin, but he would take a shower, like, he would make when you're on the tour thing, you don't necessarily shower every day, but so he didn't shower every day, but when he did shower, he let it, it was wet, but then he'd wear his hair down. So he, would try to hide his, whatever transformation. So that would just aggravate it because now he has wet hair and the dye is still coming off of him and it's, getting in his skin more and more. So it kept spreading. And so we used to, the band used to use a backing track. So on tour, you can use an iPod and set it up. So he'd wear the click track and it would be headphones wrapped around his ears. Well, his ears back here was like he put the headphone on for the show. And by the time the end of the show, like he could almost get the headphone out because it was absorbing like the headphone cable.
Huh.
And so, and after an hour, like he's like, I can't do it anymore because it was so disgusting. His skin was like coming apart. But luckily we got back. I thought for sure we're at the airport in Germany coming back. And I thought for sure customs was going to say, what's wrong with you or something. I just had these visions that he was going to end up not being able to leave the country because of, this condition he's having, this reaction. But they didn't stay this. I was right behind him behind him when he checked in and they were looking at him like, the fuck is wrong with him? Anyway, we made it back and it cleared up. It took a while to clear up. And his hair, he said his hair has never been the same. It's still long, but he said it's never been the same since he had that situation.
Huh.
I can just picture the staff at the airport being like, we should probably detain this guy. Go detain him. I ain't touching him.
We want to touch him.
Yeah,
all right, let him through.
At least he's a trooper, man. Made it through the shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, he didn't have a choice. I mean, we were sort of, it didn't get bad enough for him to want to go to the hospital, even though people were like, "Oh, are you sure you're okay?"
There's another question I like to ask bands. You guys drink, right? Because you were saying he was drinking.
Yeah.
Do you guys drink with? Do you drink with the fans or with the bands?
The drummer will drink with anybody.
Okay.
That's a drummer.
Yeah.
I usually, so if it's a local show and I have to drive, I usually drink enough where I have a good buzz and then I know I won't be drunk anymore. But then I'm not a super partier drinker. I just like to get drunk enough to get a buzz. So I don't really drink that much after I get drunk. I'm done. And then I don't give in to peer pressure. Yeah. So I guess I'll drink water with anybody out when I'm coming down.
I've noticed a lot of bands drink with the other bands that they're, touring with or doing shows with. So
on tour, when on the tour, yeah, we would party with the other bands. Obviously, because you're with them 24 hours a day. It was like 5 bands on a bus, a big bus, double-decker bus with everybody got a bunk and then a lounge on the bottom.
This is like camaraderie.
Well, real quick, you know who you hate after a couple of days, who's getting on your nerves, or who you want to punch.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Yeah, I bet. Small bus. Well, big bus, but a lot of people.
Yeah, most of the time when you're traveling, between, most of the people would just stay in their bunks the whole, because they stayed up so late drinking all night, and then they stay in their bunk all day. But I'll tell you a funny story. I got about 10 more minutes, and then I have to depart.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Kel told us you had about an hour or so.
Yeah. Sell, anyway. Not
Sell.
Kel.
Yeah. Well, I'll just dig my hole deeper and deeper. It's fine.
So we're on the second tour we went on in 2017. One of the bands had this like senior citizen dude. He was in his 60s. He played keyboards. He was really good. It was funny. Like, it was this young guy. They're called Unexplainable. They're out of Colorado. It was this old dude who played keyboards, piano, classical piano, and this younger dude who played death metal guitar. The band actually was more of a real band at first, but then it just became them two, and they played to a backtrack, to a drum track. And anyway, so we stop at a rest stop in Germany, and this dude had these big, one of his stage boots, he always wore them. They were these big Kiss boots. They were probably 6 inches. He was a little dude, like, 5 foot, and he'd always wear these boots, mostly on stage. But when we stopped at a rest stop in Germany, he got out, and generally the bus would be like an hour. So you had an hour, and a rest stop in Germany, the rest stops for truckers are really big. There's showers like in the States.
I'm a truck driver, so.
Okay. And so, there's restaurants and thing, you can get food. So we'd always have the drivers can only drive so much before they have a rest. So we'd stop at these bus stops. Sometimes we'd be there 4 or 5 hours, just hanging out, people showering and stuff. Anyway, we get off this one rest stop in Germany, and we get back on the bus, and everyone's like, "Everybody here? Yeah, everybody in their bunks." There's always a personnel check, make sure everyone's on the bus before we leave. Well, we leave. Yeah, everybody's here. Hey, where's Frank? I think was his name or something. And like, oh, he's in his bunk, but nobody checked. So they just assumed because nobody saw him get out. So, well, I should have wrecked it because I got ahead of myself. So we got to the next tour stop, and we're unloading and stuff, and then up the street, this dude Frank comes walking up with his big Kiss boots on. And we go, where were you? He goes, oh, man, guys, you guys left me at the last rest stop. I didn't have my phone on me. I didn't. It was kind of chilly out. He goes, I didn't have a jacket. And I didn't, because, you have your people brought their phones, but he left his in the bunk. Yeah. And so he goes, but we had like this placard we wore, like a badge. It had all the tour dates on it. And he said, he's an older man, right? So he didn't, like he said, he's in his 60s. But he didn't panic. He just said, well, I figured like he had this elaborate story where he figured a city had to be close by based on whatever judgment he had. So he goes, I walked to the city. People were looking at me in my funny boots, but I found the train station. I knew what the tour stop was, so I figured out how to buy a train ticket to get here. And then I just asked somebody where the venue was based on the name, on the placard thing we wore, or the badge. And we were like, and everybody was like, holy shit. Like, this guy had this crazy adventure where he caught the last train that day, because it was probably like on a Sunday, I think, to get to the city. Nobody even knew he was gone yet. And that was the funny part. We just thought he was still in his bunk. So that was pretty funny.
That's crazy.
Some persevering ass musicians out there, man.
Yeah.
The hair dye and getting left at the rest station, man. Come on.
I know, it was crazy.
He's a trooper too. Made it to the show on time.
Absolutely.
I know he made it to the show, but that was just so funny. You see this old dude with his Kiss boots walking up, and we were amazed, utterly amazed that he made it there, and nobody figured it out. But in the tour, so there was a tour manager, and he was looking at him in disbelief. He's like, "Are you shitting me? We left you, and nobody knew." Because that guy's responsible for the bands, not really legally responsible, but, you signed the contract.
Obligated.
So they have to, take somewhat care of you to make sure you're safe and on the bus. And this guy was like, he can't believe that, he made that mistake, because usually when he does a check, he looks in everybody's bunk. But for some reason, he just asked that one time, hey, is Frank in his bunk? Oh, yeah. When nobody's seen him get out and walk into the rest area. And he didn't bother to ask anybody what time we were leaving. He just assumed we wouldn't leave without him. So it was this comedy of errors.
Yeah. Yeah, I just imagine him on the bus with those boots, though. Must have been fun. Sit next to people.
I just imagine him walking down the street with those big Frankenstein boots, just trying. That couldn't have been comfortable.
No, probably not.
It was. He looked awkward, and he said a lot of people were giving him funny look because how often do you see like he had this really long ZZ Top beard?
Yeah.
It's like how often do you see like some old man wearing all black with Frankenstein boots, asking for a train ticket to whatever city we were playing, some off little smaller town that he somehow was able to find us.
The Wolfman stole Frankenstein's shoes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing stories and sharing your life and telling us about the places you've been and what you've seen.
Appreciate you having me.
Fun.
You want to plug some of your stuff and where people can find you?
Well, we still have, luckily have the .com. So it's AITTALA.com, AITTALA.com. From there, you can find links to, all the major social media, and it's all the same too. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter are all AITTALA Music, one word. So AITTALA Music. So I got the same handle on all those, so we're easy to find. If you Google the name, we'll come up. All our tons of links will be ours come up first. So we're easy to find, hard to remember to spell.
Also, we follow each other now on everything. So if you can't find them, you can check my friends list. He's in there.
Yeah, and people mix us up with Attila.
Yeah.
And people think, I've seen people like my friends from high school, like Attila was playing at Rockfest USA in Wisconsin and Oshkosh, and they're like, "Oh my God, Eric, I can't believe you're playing here." And I'm like, "No, it's a different band."
Yeah.
And one funny Attila story, other than we were featured, us and Attila were featured on a Metal Sucks article that said people mix up these bands and they're like, "Oh, I think they equally suck." But a while ago, I wanted to book a show at this small place in Greensboro. It was called Somewhere Else Tavern. And I went to call the guy and I was like, "Hey, I don't remember if I email or whatever, sent him information." But so I booked the show. First time we were going to play there. And then he called me back and he was like, "Wait a minute, you're that one fucking band that was here, blah, blah, blah. You destroyed my place. I would never fucking let you play here again." And he was just like yelling at me. I was like, "Dude, I'm not that guy. What are you talking about?" Well, a couple of days later, the bartender who, helped book shows, she called me and she said, "Look, the dude thought, that you were the band Attila." And apparently years ago, they went to that club and people were actually booing them. And they got pissed off and they started a fight and they destroyed like speakers and, caused all this damage. And they actually paralyzed this girl on accident by, inadvertently doing something, causing her to get hurt, and it paralyzed her from the waist down. So this guy thought I was trying to book my band being Attila. And it was just weird, right? That I was like, what are you talking about? And then I heard the story. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I can see how he mixes it up because obviously people mix it up all the time. So,
yeah, I've heard people aren't a fan of Attila.
I don't know anything about Attila, but
I've never heard of him either. But the people I do know,
they're more of they call themselves a death metal, party death metal band. So they're a lot of blast beats, a lot of that technical metal type sounds, and really like growly vocals. But funny enough, we were on also Blank TV video, and some people were like, either the two reactions are, "Oh my God, I'm glad you're not Attila because those guys suck," or, "Oh my God, I thought you were Attila. No, you guys suck."
Yeah,
it's one or the other.
Taste is a funny thing. Subjective.
Right. Well, I know you said you got to go. Let's try to get you out of here. But I do enjoy your stories, so I don't want to like push you out, but I also don't want to keep you longer than you want to be here.
No, I gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta have you back when you can stay longer, because I'm enjoying the hell out of these stories myself.
Well,
thanks. I have a million of them. I'll come back anytime if you really invite me. I don't know if that's an empty like, hey, we want to have you back kind of. Or
no, we've had repeat guests plenty of times. That's not a problem.
Okay.
The problem that we have
on anytime.
is we only do one a week, so.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Anyway, so we'll go find the band, AITTALA.com, AITTALA Music on all the major things. Search Google for AITTALA, and you'll find us.
Also, at the end of the show, we got 2 songs for you. I don't know which one you want us to play. We got Infamy and Debt. So
play Infamy.
Okay, so after the show, for the audio listeners only, because YouTube has a problem with playing music, so can't do it on YouTube. But audio listeners only, you will get to hear the song at the end of the show, Infamy. So stick around after the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
All right.
We'll see you.
Okay. Awkward. This is awkward. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
it's a little awkward.
we need a steady outro or something.
Yeah. Well, we plug our stuff usually. I just didn't want to have him stay for all our stuff.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks for coming.
You can find us everywhere at STM Pod on all things social media. You know where to find us.
And I'm thinking of disappearing, so don't even worry about trying to find me. In fact, if you would not do that, I'd appreciate it. Randy Garner Humor on Instagram, Randy Garner Humor on TikTok, and on Facebook, and Restless Native on Twitter
with an 8.
Yeah, which I rarely ever use these days because everyone is so pissed off about everything else.
Yeah, we've talked about this,
and that's my thing. I like to be the one who's pissed off, and it's pissing me off.
You can check my personal account at Never Been Funny with 1 E on Twitter. I think that's all we got, unless you want to talk about some other stuff.
I think I'm good, man.
All right.
Well, I got to pee and cut grass, so I'm good.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We will continue to try to keep getting some bands and random things on. We're trying to, diversify the guest list, get bands, comedians, whoever. But yeah, this is the first time we've really started doing bands, but we're enjoying it. So I hope you guys are also enjoying meeting some bands and hopefully not having the usual questions asked. Try to get to know the more fun side of people. Anyways, I
wasn't kidding earlier when I said that like all the bands we've had on are bands that I kind of like.
Yeah.
Which kind of fucks me up. It makes me like
not want to be.
It makes me worry about making an ass of myself.
I want to talk shit on them.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to talk shit about, but I don't want to make an ass of myself or anything like that. I don't want to make a bad impression. But at the same time, I don't want to. Oh man, I love your music, and this track was awesome. Because I feel like I'm just dick riding at that point, and I ain't here to fucking dick.
Well, you don't have to be all about that. You could just say I appreciate that song.
I guess. I don't know. I've never been really good at subtlety.
You could ask them questions about the song.
I guess.
We'll get there.
We're still figuring it out. It's weird because it's like, because you do most of the bookings.
Yeah, well, barely. Well, yeah.
And it's like you keep booking like these bands that are really up my alley and everything. And I know you're more into hip hop and that sort of thing.
I like all kinds of stuff. It's all good.
Well, I know you also like.
I like a lot of stuff people hate.
Yeah, pop punk.
Yeah, ska.
I know they were giving you shit for that on Discord, man. Yeah. By the way, join our Discord. Quit being a fucking asshole.
Yep. You can find all those links on drumcityproductions.com. Shout out to the network.
And you can join the Discord where I can call you an asshole personally.
True that.
And you can get all kinds of verbal abuse. Just go to Drama City Productions and fucking link.
People
almost pulled it off.
People give me a lot of shit lately about how long my goatee is getting. So
or you can just dish out the verbal abuse. Just make sure you throw it at Ben here because I am very, very sensitive. So then I can dish it out, but I cannot take it. So
yeah, if that's something you guys are into, I guess.
Get into the ASMR, however you do it.
Okay, fuckers. We'll see you pieces of shit next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.